Falling leaves and autumn breezes. Who doesn't love the fall? Here's what's going to be, I'm sure, one of your favorite go-to pieces for this, my favorite season, the autumn sweater scarf. Hi, fellow crocheters. It's Janet with bddpatterns.com. Thank you so much for stopping by today. In this video, I'm going to fulfill a request that I've had for probably over 2 years now, and that is to make a seamless sweater scarf. In other words, something that doesn't have a seam in the back. So that's what we're going to do today. Let's get started. You'll need a measuring tape for sure. This is a must. A yarn needle, and a yarn needle threader is option, but this thing it's worth its weight in gold if you ask me. A sharp pair of scissors, a row counter if you want. It's not necessary because I'm going to give this pattern in measurements. A gauge swatch ruler that is still going to apply here. And we're going to be using 2 different sizes of hooks today. We're going to be using a 5mm and a 6mm. So, oh, the yarn, almost forgot. All right, this is tricky because today I'm making a small, and I literally had not enough to complete it in this one skein, but I used a scant amount in the other skein. So if you like this yarn, I would highly recommend this. I just love this color. I think it's perfect for this time of year. This is Karen 1 pound, and it has 812 yards. To be safe, I would say for this size, you need a minimum of 1,000. A minimum. All right, let's get started. All right, the flow of this pattern is we make the scarf portion or the body portion first, and then we add the sleeve ribbing next and last. So we go the sleeve ribbing that we end when we end our scarf, we do that edge, and then we fasten off and we do the other edge. So what I'm going to do here is demonstrate this in a mini. All right, with your 6mm hook, go ahead and chain loosely 15. All right, now this is very important. We are going to do our first row into this back bar of these chain stitches. We're not going to do it. Maybe you learn this way, but this is the way that I'm teaching you going forward for all my patterns. I've just decided because this is very important, especially for this project. So here's our chain that is on our hook. So we are going to look for the back bar of that next stitch, and that is in there. And all this is just a single crochet stitch. In fact, this entire pattern is a single crochet. It's just in the back loop. So, but for the first row of the pattern, again, we are now going to be working over 14 stitches for our gauge swatch and our techniques. We are using our 6mm hook, and we are going to single crochet into that back bar of each stitch. And then before we do our last stitch, we are going to, we're going to still do it in the back bar. Sorry about that. I was getting ready for the repeat row. Okay, so we originally chained 15 and we went into the second stitch or chain from the hook. So that means that we are going to be now working over 14 stitches just for this gauge swatch. So we've done our first row into the back bars. We're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn. Next, please do a single crochet into the first stitch, just as you normally would. All right. Now, every stitch except the last stitch is just a back loop only single crochet. And I'll show you where that is. Okay, there's the top of the stitch. There's the front loop right there. And there's the back loop right there. Please just single crochet into the remaining stitches except the last stitch, and this is back loop only. So your first stitch was a single crochet just as you regularly would, and then your next 12 stitches will be single crochet into the back loop only, stopping before that last stitch. Okay, we have done those 12 back loop only single crochet stitches. Now we are going to just simply crochet a single crochet into that last stitch. So again, we're working over 14 stitches for our gauge swatch. Now we are going to chain one and turn, and here is the repeat row. You single crochet into the first stitch, you back loop single crochet until you get to the last stitch. You don't back loop single crochet into the last stitch, but you single crochet as you normally would into that last stitch, just like this. Single crochet into the last stitch, chain one, and turn. Okay, I want you to do the repeat row of single crochet into the first stitch, back loop only single crochet into the next 12 stitches, and single crochet into the last stitch until your piece reaches, to get an accurate measurement, you should at least have 5.5 inches. So if you want to go up to 6, that's fine, but 5.5 will definitely do it. Okay, I've got mine up to that 5.5 inch mark, and now I'm going to look at the gauge here. All right, again, this is 4 inches in this window, and I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So the gauge is 12 rows, and here I have, again, 15 stitches. So I'm just going to measure this. It's about, this is what's actually 4 3/4. Okay, so 14 divided by 4 3/4 is 2.947. So I'm just going to call that 3 stitches, just going to round it up there. So our gauge is 3 stitches per inch, or 12 stitches over the 4-inch field. So this is demonstrating the scarf, again, portion of the sweater scarf, also the body, whatever you want to call it, and it will run long this way. So we are going to be adding the sleeves onto this edge and onto this edge, which in other words, we're adding the sleeves into the rows. So for the sleeves, you want to change out your hook to that 5 millimeter. And for this demonstration, please chain 11 and chain again loosely. Okay, now remember, this is our edge. This is where we chained one and turned, because we worked vertically here. And this is our last row that we just completed. And it's going to be the same thing for the pattern. This part is probably the trickiest part of the pattern, but this is definitely something that a beginner can handle as well. So here we are going to turn our work, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working this way, but we need to be going into these stitches from the body rows. So in order to get this right, though, you're going to have to turn this a little bit. And all I want you to do is just turn it, your chain, so that the bars are facing the stitches of this last row. And now work your way into those back bars just like we did before. And that means that we are going to be, there we go, there's our back bars. Let me see. Actually, I didn't do that right, so let me pull this out. I've still got, I did my 11. All right, there's my back bar right there. See that? This is smaller, so it's a little harder to see. But there's my chain that's on my hook, so I need to go to this one right here. And I just simply need to do, again, a regular single crochet into that back bar. And it is just, this one is just a little trickier because you're holding on to it, but you can get it done. Just go really slow. Don't get frustrated with it because you'll crochet too tight, but just go right into those back bars. And so for this demonstration, we will be working over 10 stitches. So we chained 11. Now we are into that second chain, and then so on and so forth to the end. So go ahead and do the 10 single crochets until that first stitch of the chain. Okay, so we have now our 10 single crochets into the chain that we made that is going to be the sleeve ribbing. So here we are, we're back at where we did it, and again we twisted our chain a little bit, and that's exactly what it should look like. So it shouldn't be real twisted, but just enough. We turned it here on that first stitch, so it's not going to have a bump or anything. All right, so here's the first stitch. So this is the only time that you're going to slip stitch into the same stitch that you're in right now. After this, we're only going to be slip stitching into the next stitches. So we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch, and then we're going to slip into 2 more. So we have a total of 3 slip stitches here. Now we do not chain 1, but we turn, and we're going to work back into this original, originally it was a chain of 11. We're going to be working back into this portion of the pattern. Okay, so what you need to do now is look carefully here, guys. This is 3, 2, 1. You're going to skip those 3 slip stitches, okay, and you're going to simply back loop single crochet into the next 9 stitches. So that'll bring you right to your last stitch of the sleeve ribbing. And again, back loop, guys, going forward, it's all back loop. The first one is just regular, but after that, it's all back loop. Okay. All right. And then a regular single crochet into that last stitch. Now here we do chain 1 and we turn our work. So see, here's what we've got. We've got the body, and we've got the first 2 rows of our sleeve ribbing. All right, we're going to go down and we're going to single crochet into that first stitch, and then we're going to back loop single crochet into the next 9 stitches. All right, so again, now we have the 10 stitches, and here we are. You can see that this is where we're at right here. So now, just again, when I said the first row we were going to go into that same stitch, we're not going into this. We're going to slip stitch the next 3 stitches of our scarf. We're going to turn our work, and we're going to skip these 3 stitches. Now we are just going to single crochet into the back loop of these next 9 stitches, and then we will single crochet regularly into that 10th stitch, just like this. All right, chain 1 and turn. Now you can see it's happening. It's finally happening. So go ahead and repeat that with 1 single crochet stitch into the first stitch, 9 back loop single crochet stitches into the rest of the ribbing. Don't go into this one that you're already in. That one doesn't count. And then slip stitch the next 3 stitches, and then turn your work, and then go back with your back loop single crochet stitches and then your last, and repeat it all the way to the end. Now if you find that you only have 1 row, I didn't on the pattern, but if you find you're only on on 1 row, then you could just slip that last stitch and do 3, because you must have your last stitch needs to be on this end. In other words, it needs to be on the hemline of your sleeve. So whatever you have to do to get to that point, just adjust it, but make sure that your last row, your last stitch of your last row is right here. Okay, I stopped here because there were 2 stitches left that I would need to slip stitch, but the pattern it'll be in a stitch count of 3s. So to explain, we went into the first one and then we slip stitched 3 more. So basically the reason that we ran out and we didn't have a multiple of 3 was because of that. So we've got 2 here, which is not a big deal at all, just to close it out and to demonstrate the how the pattern works. So I'm just going to slip stitch into that last stitch there. I'm going to turn my work. I'm going to skip 2 and I'm going to go up. And this again is just for demonstration purposes, but on the pattern I give you the stitch count for the small here in a little bit when we get to that. And this is how you do it. Again, your back loop single crochet stitching into those 9 stitches from the sleeve ribbing, and then your single crocheting into the last one. And now we're gonna get a stitch marker, mark this as our right side, and I'm going to show you the construction technique for both sleeves. And these are the only 2 seams that you have to do. Please go ahead and mark this as your right side, just so you know, because when you get a massively long scarf, you're going to see that you're going to need to do that. Okay, so here we are. We're on the right side because that's where we finished, and we are at that last stitch. So normally we would have this row covered here, which is fine, but we just, for the gauge, we don't, and I already explained that. So go ahead and chain 1. Now fold your sleeve in half, okay? And you're just going to be lining this up. You can eyeball it initially because there's not that many stitches here. But if you want, get some stitches, get some of those closing stitch markers. And at minimum, what I like to do is I like to just see where the, this is where we were doing our slip stitches right here. These are the 10 stitches. I would just mark the number of stitches that were for the sleeve. And so now all we're going to do is we've chained 1, and we're going to go right into that first stitch from our front. Here we folded it in half, and we're just going to do a single crochet. And this is actually going to be the right side, so there's no sewing really involved. You're going to have to tuck in 2 tails, but that's it. All right, so, well, I'm sorry, maybe more than that because we got to join our yarn on the other side. But going through all 4 loops, because there's our fold is right there, and then here's our row from the beginning and the row from the end of our ribbing. And just make sure that those stitches are lining up and do a regular single crochet to join your sleeve. And I'll do one more, show you, see, all 4 loops there, both stitches, single crochet, and keep doing that until you get to right here where you joined. And do go into that join or that slip stitch just one time. In other words, go into these 10 stitches and then just go down right here, and that's where you're going to fasten off. But I want you to do 2 stitches in that, and I'll show you in a minute. Okay, right there, do you see I went right in there? I'm going to do a single crochet, and then I'm going to go just in to this stitch here where both where I did my slip stitches. All right, and now I'm going to go and just catch any 2 here, do a slip stitch, and I want you to fasten off right here. Just like that. Okay, fasten off. Leave your tail. All right, now you'll see, obviously, this is so funny. These are so dinky. But do you see how that single stitch, it was just so easy to pop a seam like that because it just blends right into everything. I love it when I can do a single crochet seam like that. Okay, so now I've got to make sure that I'm on the right side again, okay, because we're going to end here and we need to be on the right side this time. So with your right side up and you marked your marker, like I told you, okay, go ahead and join your yarn into this first stitch. Okay, now chain 1 with the skein, not the tail. All right, and grab both tails, and then go back and single crochet into that first stitch. Now you're going to chain 11, just like we did before. 5, 6, and I got to be honest with you, I'm going to pull these out because this would, if I was doing this would be too tight. Don't do it too tight. Otherwise, you're never going to find that back bar. It's going to be just too much of a pistol for you, and there's really no reason. And again, you're still working with that smaller hook. The body is worked with the larger hook or the scarf, and then the sleeves are worked with the smaller hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and we need to do 11. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, yay. All right, remember how we twisted our work just a little bit so that we could get it to face the back bars, to face the way that we had to crochet. We're vertically crocheting into this last row, or in this case, this is the first row of our project. So here we go. I'm just going to show you this one more time. Go and do a single crochet into the back bar of the second chain from the hook, and then the remaining back bars of the next 9 stitches, because again, we are going to be working over a total of 10 stitches for our sleeve just in this demonstration. And go ahead and just do this into the back bars. You can see if you can work your slip stitches over your tails. If you can't, that's okay. You can just weave them. It's not a problem either, or however that works out. I didn't find it so easy to slip stitch over. But remember, in this first one, you're going to want to do the slip stitch right into the same stitch that you're working in, and then after that it's the 3 that are ahead of it. It's not in that. Then when you get here, remember, just go to the end and then construct your sleeve like I just showed you. All right, it's really that easy. This is an amazing pattern for beginners, and this pattern that's coming up I'm going to share is for a size small medium. It goes up to a 36-inch bust. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you really enjoyed it. Don't forget I'm having a sale at bddpatterns.com. Buy one, get one. Put two in your cart and get one free. Have a blessed day.